Now it's time to install the flywheel. So you're going to need your flywheel cup, and you're going to need your engine block. You're also going to need a strap wrench and a torque wrench set to 50 foot-pounds. Don't forget the 21mm socket.
Okay, so the first step in this procedure is to remove our flywheel nut. Once we've done that, take note that our key in our crankshaft is in fact not damaged and in place in the groove of the crankshaft. Then we take our flywheel, gently slide it over the shaft, lining up our keyway. Okay, at this point, I want you to take note when we put our fan blade on our flywheel that there is a specific shape to our fan blade. When you put the fan blade on, locate that shape so the pins lock in on our flywheel. Verify that there's no gaps around the fan blade where it connects to the flywheel. The flywheel cup has an indicating tang on it. You want to verify that this indicating tang is not damaged in any way and that when you install it into the flywheel, it locks in a position flush. If it's mispositioned in any way, like this or like this, you want to stop and reposition it until it sits flush. Now, as we're holding this in position, we'll thread the nut on so the components do not separate. Okay, now it's time for our strap wrench.
Okay, while I'm putting the strap wrench on, why don't you tell us why we're at foot-pounds and not inch-pounds?
This nut requires a significantly higher amount of torque. We definitely don't want this flywheel coming off the engine while it's rotating at speeds upward of 1,000 RPM.
Okay.
We've set our torque wrench to 50 foot-pounds. On this torque wrench, there's a safety lever and then a very simple dial to set this to specification.
Now notice, when you have the strap wrench, it'll be pointed down. That way you'll know you have it set right. This is a two-man job. One person's going to push on the torque wrench, the other person's going to hold the engine block.
Now, as you're holding the torque wrench, it's always important to pull to you, and then when we start to get to an excessive amount of force, we want to push down because we might use some of our body weight to do so. You hear that click?
Yeah, it always makes sense to let gravity help you out too.
If you want to verify, make sure your socket is flush on the nut. Pull again. Click. We're meeting specification. Mr. Carr, why don't you give an example of why we should not lift up on the torque wrench when we're trying to tighten this?
Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's not going to work very well.
No. So definitely you want to have the torque wrench on the same side of the engine that we have the strap wrench when we're tightening.
Okay, let's take off the strap wrench. Let's make sure this thing turns.
Good idea. Now, at this point, because the flywheel is so heavy and we do have fan blades on here, we want to make sure that there's no loose articles of clothing or our fingers in the way while we're rotating the engine.
Okay.
This engine turns very, very smooth. I can feel on the compression stroke and I can feel on the exhaust stroke.
All right, looks like we're doing a good job so far. Time for you to put on your flywheel.